Hekim Agamammedow of Turkmenistan goes up against Hekim of Mongolia. It'll be Agamammedow in the white judogi, Hekim in blue. The referee in the middle for this one is Ramzi Shamirov of Tajikistan.
I don't know if you caught that, there's no previous head-to-heads between the two. And although the Mongolians quite high in the ranking, our Turkmenistan one is about 42, I believe.
So have a look at that.
So it will be an interesting one. They've not previously fought in competition, so we'll see how they deal with one another. I'm sure they've met plenty of times in training camps and whatnot.
Yeah, I'd like to look at the possibility. First, yes, you're quite right. The first thing that you want to look at is whether they're from a region where they're likely to meet up in training camps. So Turkmenistan, Mongolia, not a million miles away, both in Asia, and it's possible that they've met in Asian championships outside of the IJF World Tour. So that's a possibility, but I think the other thing is
looking for Randori with the top seeds, aren't they? Getting the best Randori.
Here comes the first head-to-head that we know about. Agamammedow picked up a bit of a scratch, I guess I'm going to call it, on the, is it the left cheek, his left cheek? I can't imagine that that's going to stay on there. Plasters are not normally...
No, I feel like he might end up being wrapped up by the end of this contest, depending on how long it goes on for. He's chasing him down there.
All right during the break, but once they get, close up, maybe a little bit tricky to keep it on. And the perspiration as well. Plasters, I don't think work. Tape is a little bit better, but then you try and take that off later on and...
You can usually see the physios with the scissors, cutting them off.
Piece by piece.
Usually before the medal ceremonies.
First minute is almost out of the way. If anyone is wondering how it is that Ramzi Shamirov is refereeing this contest, don't get mixed up between Turkmenistan and Tajikistan. They're two completely different places. So, close, but they're different. And in the past, during that old Soviet Union period, we wouldn't have known. We would just have labelled, or a lot of people in the West would just have labelled them as coming from, Russia.
That being said, the pairs do have very similar styles of judo.
Koichi brings Agamammedow down onto his front, but no score.
Right,
A chance for a turnover here? No, it's missed. Mongolians have got an incredible history. 60 and 66, mind you, we could keep going through this 73, and just
quite a nice range. Leading right the way up to the heavyweights, as we just saw.
Yeah. As I was saying it, I was thinking, no, probably want to keep going. We were talking about the possible turnover, but it was only briefly.
Agamammedow managed to turn out of that one.
Okay.
Just a little lack of control around the head, which we've seen a few times today. You can see the difference between the ones who were really working at it and gaining the control there before the final movement and the ones who kind of just hope for the best.
There goes the plaster.
Yeah. That's going to be a wrap-up situation.
Thought I didn't think it was going to last 2 minutes, but it went for 2.5. Anyway, we should have placed a bet on that. Minute and a half left on the clock. Single Shido picked up by Agamammedow. Just threatening here. The referee calls mate. He's seen something for which he's going to give a penalty. It's just a little bit of avoiding to grip up. A second penalty to Agamammedow, and Batogdog picks up a first. Sumigation, I'm not sure if that would have counted actually. Would have been valid for a turnover into, there was, but possibly not for scoring purposes. Anyway, it's a moot point, given that he didn't land on the scoring part of the body. Last minute then. I don't know if you've had a look up in the crowd, but there's so many people wearing masks. Just a throwback to that COVID time, isn't it? Don't look up then.
I'm looking up going, oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, but it is something that you see and saw all the time.
Yeah, it
in
wasn't
Japan.
unusual
You never
in
really
Japan.
know, never really thought about it. China too, quite often you go around and see people with masks. Korea, same thing.
It was more about protecting others if you
Yes, if
got
you
the
had
virus
something,
as opposed to avoiding catching it. Very nice, really.
Yes, very thoughtful. Last few seconds then of regulation time. This looks as though it's heading towards
Well, that was a nice attempt there. Had a bit more of a turn on it, perhaps.
Big effort. Batogdog is likely to pick up a second penalty here.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, they don't normally like to give them
So close.
so close to the end. But now you've saved yourself the trouble, because you go into goal and score, and you can carry over anything now. So the referee's in a good position here. Either of these athletes who commit an error could find themselves with the third penalty. It's up to them to come up with something a little bit special to end the contest. First score wins. Hasn't given up, has he, Batogdog? He really wants that turnover. It's gone now.
Yeah, it's not being handed to him, that's for sure. It maybe felt the danger there. Was hoping to finish it on the ground.
All the bruises on the forehead from Batogdog. Jump in the shower tonight, put the soap on there, and I'll know that he's been in a battle. Yeah. Just went a little bit too far through there, Batogdog. Give Agamammedow the benefit of the doubt that he avoided it as well. He's still going for that turnover.
I mean, maybe you can feel it, something we just can't see.
Well, if Agamammedow continues to allow him to work down there, he will. And if he's not careful, he'll get caught. He's a little bit too far down now to get any success, but...
A lot of energy expended down there on the ground, though, isn't it?
Both of them. I think probably more for the person that's attempting the turnover. Of course, if you're having to defend it, you still put out a lot of energy. But Agamammedow is running a bit of a risk here. If he gives up the top half of the body, I think Batogdog will catch him. He really does fancy his chances on the ground. Doesn't have the power, though, for the turnover any longer. It's going to have to be a shock rather than one of those planned, power moves. Neither of them have got the the power, but Tokto can't carry out the turnover, he just has got the power. And Agamammedow, yeah, no score.
Wheeling motion there, wasn't it? Well, he just
He's got to get out of it quickly.
Just lay there for a second.
He can't
What
now.
was he thinking?
You're absolutely right. Had he not laid there and thought about it for a couple of seconds, he probably would have got out.
I don't know if he was waiting for a mate to happen or...
I think he couldn't believe that he'd been caught, because he was so close to turning him over a couple of times, in his own mind. He couldn't believe that he'd got into it, and then he realised, I've got to get out of here fairly quickly. I've only got 10 seconds.
Agamammedow was very, very pleased with that win.
Yes, that was a good win. Well, it took a while, didn't it?
Yeah, well, you were right. That tape certainly didn't last very long, did it?
This is the first ever medal in IJF World Tour for Hekim Agamammedow, Turkmenistan.
Hekim Agamammedow picks up his first ever medal in an IJF World Tour. Congratulations to him and to Turkmenistan.